All right, welcome to another episode of The Fundable Founder. I'm here today with Paul Bilodeau, founder and CEO of Filtered.ai. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on. I know I've known you for several years, and I think you've got a really interesting story to tell and some good perspectives. So, welcome to the program. First, why don't you tell people a little bit about Filtered? What's your elevator pitch?
So Filtered, Filtered is a collaborative hiring workspace. So basically, which COVID actually helped because it pushed the future of work 5 years ahead. But it's this idea that there's really no structured interviews, and it's mainly subjective. And so, Filtered helps to bring objectivity to the hiring process, especially around engineering through job specific tasks. So instead of giving somebody a coding challenge to solve a math problem, it's, implement a feature or do the real work. So if it was like Lyft and the job is to match riders to drivers, then we match riders to drivers. And so you're getting a feel for the candidate in terms of real performance without the pedigree. So no resumes are considered. And then the candidate gets a feel for what the job's like.
Got it. And who would be the ideal customer for you guys?
So we started in digital transformation. Fortune 500 first customer was Monsanto, now Bayer, and second customer is Express Scripts, now Cigna. They're still here, and kind of found the sweet spot of this quote unquote flyover states, where large companies, well-known brands, would outsource technology because it wasn't their core business. Right. Bringing it all back in house and fighting to stay alive. And then that, we really help those teams, evaluate for skill sets that they don't know how to because they're new and the skills might not even exist in that area.
Right. Well, as a St. Louis native, I'm proud that you started with Monsanto and Express Scripts. So I'm proud to be from a flyover state and certainly understand that sentiment. So tell us a little bit about your origin story, how you got into entrepreneurship and why you decided to start Filtered.
Wow. So Filtered, the origin story for Filtered probably started in 2009 because I did start another company called Pangea Connect, which was, around video interviewing. And, we started a consulting company and was frustrated with trying to change the process of hiring, right? So when even in consulting, you're still, you still having interview candidates to hire them to your team. And then sometimes your customers want to interview them. But it was really around words on paper and formatting a resume to match keywords, et cetera. And I thought that was broken. And so I looked at my partner after going from 0 to 25 million in revenue over the last 3 years and said, I'm out of here and I'm going to go automate this.
Yep.
And I failed the first time with Pangea. It was too early, and it's actually a little bit more dangerous to be too early than too late.
Yep, for sure. So so then you decided to launch Filtered about what year?
So Filtered started, so it was intentional. It was a partner around 2000. It was February 2015 when we moved into a 2-man and WeWork, and we started around data science and consulting. And really the idea was, let's take consulting and let's automate pieces of this business. And so there's, a sourcing aspect to it, and then there's a education aspect to it. And then, there's, a deployment portion of it where it's like you sending off, a bucket of people that are pre-qualified to the customer to say, here's who's going to show up to do the contract. And that's what pulled it. We were working with Monsanto in crop science and data science, scaling up large teams, and the process was broken. So we were using Filter to do the interviewing, and then HR caught wind and really kind of pulled us in. But they were also using Refactored, which was a learning platform, which also was one MIT solve future of work in 2018, and it was just named into XPRIZE, and the consulting company was just named Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the top 1,000. So we started 3 companies out of a 2-man and a WeWork in Boston. And, kind of did it a bit differently because we didn't build features, we built the platform.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you launched the company. How did you think about how far you wanted to build the product, how much of the team you wanted to build, how much customer traction you wanted to get, all encompass around, when to raise capital and how much to raise? What was your strategy there?
I want to say it was intentional. It was really kind of doing things and not being afraid to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in setting the GPS to California and the San Andreas fault line falls off into the ocean. You just keep driving, right?
Right.
So I didn't plan on raising capital, to be honest, in terms of because the consulting business was funding everything, and then it just got to the point where it felt like Filtered was growing. Could be this thing that was bigger, and at the same time, I went to see Phil Lippin, the founder of Evernote, just after he stepped down, CEO and joined General Catalyst. He did a fireside chat right across the street from your office before it changed over. I forget the name of that bar, restaurant. And, what he said resonated with me. It was like, he bootstrapped a few companies and, he built, like, Evernote wouldn't have been scalable if he didn't raise funding. And the idea of what really resonated with me was, but don't build a SaaS company with a 3 to 5 year goal. Build a 100-year SaaS company, which resonated with me because that's, as a bootstrapper, it's like, I'm not looking to sell this. I'm looking to build a company.
Yeah.
Last a long time. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of unique advice, right? I mean, I often, people come into our office for a first pitch and I'm like, what's your exit plan? Right.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, it's part of it's part of it, right? Because it's, your business and it's returns. And it helps to think like that also. And I definitely was stumped early on because what do you mean exit plan? We're going long.
Right. So when did you decide to kind of go out and raise money? What was you just felt like your business was at that inflection point where a little bit of capital could accelerate the growth? Was that kind of the decision?
Yeah, we were eating a lot of resources from, the consulting company. We were also, building, Refactored, which is another product at the same time, and which was cutting into resources there. And they had just gotten into Solve. And so it was this time where, it seems like the right time for us to, the kids are growing up, so to speak, where they're standing up and starting to walk. Let's have Filtered have its own lane, Refactored can have its own lane, and then negotiating of how to split the businesses. That was a challenge, and that was a challenge with fundraising because of how we were intertwined, and a lot of investors were like, "This is messy." Especially at this stage, we don't want to put the time and the work into this in case we go all the way through due diligence and you can't come to terms with your partners, and this isn't going anywhere.
So did you have to come to terms with your partners and come up with a plan to pitch to the VCs?
I mean, even then it was down to the wire of getting the document signed, because then their lawyers, come in and say, IP and assigning of IP and splitting things, and you're only going to get this piece for that much. And so it literally was, down to, almost 12 hours to get them to sign off.
So any advice for entrepreneurs that might be in the same situation, that, like, just kind of looking back, anything you wish you had done with regards to that piece of it with spinning it out?
Yeah. It's like, it's almost like a prenup, I guess, right? Like, and I think it's important to, do that again. Like, it's because don't wait until there's traction, because there's people and, I helped do this, or once you start really growing, and then it's like people want more of things. And if it was all decided up front, then it probably would have been a lot more seamless. And it was really just, one partner, really good friends, we've been knowing each other for years, was totally fine. There just was another partner, who wanted more. And if it's just unrealistic, when you go into venture, there's, it's a certain way. It's, this isn't a small business. So
tell us a little bit about your fundraise then. How many VCs do you think and angel groups did you end up pitching? How long did it take? Was there some, what did you learn along the way? Any advice, anything along those lines?
Yeah. Go at it full. I didn't like fundraising process, just only because I'm pragmatic, right? Like for me, it was like, I'm trying to build a business here. And this is a lot of time, and that's a mistake. And it's a necessary, don't call it a necessary evil. That should not be your narrative. Yep. Because it's an enabler, and you only get more frustrated if you don't go all in, and the process is faster if you do. It took us around 6 months. We only pitched like 25 companies because
that's not bad.
Yeah. We didn't do like the full sales pipeline, CRM. And in another part, it was a challenge, was the fact that since we went directly to the Fortune 500, we didn't have the metrics that you usually have for seed stage, right? DAO, MAU, that didn't matter to us, right? Our ACV was $100,000, right? So marketing, what's that? Like we paid everybody through direct outreach on LinkedIn. So we were viewed a bit differently. So that, contrarians in a sense, and that was tough in the first round. And then, our last round was, it was a bit easier because of the brands. We had brands that have been around for hundreds of years, and they're hard to sell to. It wasn't just, all the logos from like the Techstars cohort, like the typical deck. 1,000 customers that are all free. So.
And so did you do like a targeted outreach to the VCs? I mean, to only pitch 25, were you trying to find some that had certain characteristics that fit with Filtered in your vision?
I didn't in that round.
Okay.
It was where I definitely should have. We did an accelerator called Engage down in
in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, yeah, and they were great because what I thought. I mean, I love Techstars. Don't get me wrong in terms of mentor madness and things of that nature, but it was really gearing up for fundraising. We weren't fundraising. We wanted to learn how to, navigate the buying center of the Fortune 500, and Engage just plugged us in. And, because their LPs are Fortune 500 companies down in Atlanta. So it's kind of a sales hack too. And, two of our investors were involved in that program or got to see us do a pitch, which helped. And then we had launch capital here locally, Woody Benson, who was the first to kind of, to be in on us and believe in us, which if that, that helped us a lot because it's, I'm not used to going to ask people for money. He just felt like this could be a big thing. And that really helped us with confidence. And so when we were pitching in, once he was in, it was just 2 months, and we had a round closed.
Did he give you any advice along the way? I know he's always been a good mentor advisor for you.
Yeah. It's like you gotta be practice your pitch. Don't just show up. Don't be frustrated with doing decks, because the deck's not for me. The deck is for who I have to show it to. Because I would just pull out a demo and just like, here's where we at, and like, here's their accounts, and like, here's their curly or whatever. And so, and just, being more, buying into the process. And and he was there anytime we had a question. A lot of VCs, call me. I'm the type that call me on a Saturday and they're full of it. But he's really, 4:30 in the morning, he'll start hitting you with questions, and he's always responsive. So he was very, very helpful.
That's awesome. How did you overcome some of the challenges of being different from the other companies the VCs were looking at with the larger customers, probably longer sales cycle?
Yeah.
What did you do? What was your response to that?
Um, it, you try to say, hey, yeah, this is like, I mean, again, it's hard because it's like, prove you can do it again. Prove you can do it again. Okay, then we got another one, and we got Coca-Cola, and it's like, okay, do it again. Like,
Right.
what does our revenue need to be for a seed stage investment at this point? And we just, we decided to kind of look outside of the typical seed stage investors, right, and say, let's go down to Atlanta, where there's a lot more Fortune 500 customers.
Yep.
The ecosystem, the investors are different.
Yep.
Some folks with operator backgrounds.
Yep.
That's where we found our sweet spot, because they got it. They know how hard it is to sell to the brands. And you have to, in order for them to buy it from a company that hasn't raised funding yet, and going through procurement means it's an underserved market.
And it means that you're onto something special.
Yeah. Yes.
Those big Fortune 100 companies get pitched all the time about new technologies, but for you to break through means a lot. And I think a lot of VCs don't quite get that if they've never sold into Fortune 100 companies, right? So
yeah, like getting dropped off in an Uber, the Monsanto campus, which goes from A through O in terms of the alphabet, and not knowing like which gate to go through. And I'm with, my co-founder, Oliver, and CTO, and he's in sweatpants, and where there's just two of us demoing, and for a whole audience in a large conference room, and, competing against three companies, HireVue, Codility, and HackerRank, that had, raised, over $300 million.
Yeah.
And, we're demoing in production with 1 million concurrent users to prove that it was scalable.
Yep.
And then they gave us our first shot. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So we're just about out of time. Any kind of final words of wisdom, things that we didn't touch on that you like to pass along to any aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
It's in terms of like timing. We realized with the last round, I wanted to shorten the process, right? How do we be the least disruptive to our business? Which
totally.
Okay, when do people not fundraise, and when are our customers kind of quiet?
Yeah.
The holidays, right? So January, it's like, don't send pitch decks then. And we did. We started January 6th of 2020, and then we had 20 meetings in Silicon Valley within 48 hours.
Awesome.
And it was 15 out of the top 20. The Andreessens, the Lightspeeds, et cetera. We had a term sheet by March 4th, so we were really efficient. Just didn't plan for the pandemic to happen, which unfortunately, we're lucky. A lot of people went out of business, but it didn't. Obviously that lengthened our fundraising cycle because going to the Fortune 500, everything slowed down. But do things a bit differently, and I think that for me was because think about investors coming back from holiday. And they're looking to get their deals done, and so there's no noise. But we noticed after February 15th, it was taking a little bit longer for folks to get back. So
for sure,
good data there.
Awesome advice. So I'd like to finish by asking one final question.
Okay.
And that's, describe yourself in one word.
Pragmatic.
Pragmatic.
Yeah,
I agree with that assessment. I think you're very self-aware there. Well, thank you so much, Paul. Really enjoyed having you on.
Great to see you.
Looking forward to watching your success at Filtered over the coming years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Over the next 96 years, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.
To innovate, invent, and disrupt? We're your partner to fuel your growth. Contact us to learn more.